you feel like you're getting, bled dry at the proverbial time clock? Does it feel like you have constant overtime on your team's paychecks? Do you wish you could easily take a bite out of these costs? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then you're in the right place. While controlling labor costs is a very big and important topic, stay with me. I'm about to share with you systems to implement to immediately have a positive impact on labor cost. Hey there, Restaurant Pro. This is Dave Scott Peters, restaurant expert, coach, and creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. And today I'm going to talk about the 7 essential tactics to controlling labor cost. When I deliver my 2-day seminar in Las Vegas twice a year, I often ask my attendees this very simple question. What's the biggest expense in your restaurant? And I'm going to tell you, probably 9 out of 10 people, they're going to raise their hand and say labor costs. The crazy part would be that, they're wrong. I would say that labor comes in a really high second next to an empty chair. Think about it. You pay rent, utilities, all the flatware and, plateware and glassware and all the product you brought in and all the training, the uniforms, everything goes into running your restaurant. If you have an empty place, you're losing money. So ultimately, the biggest expense is that empty chair. After that, I would dare say it's labor cost. Either way, labor can be, a restaurant profitability killer. Here's a short list of 7 essential tactics you must master to control your labor costs and start making the money you deserve. Number 1, understand how to use FTEs, full-time equivalents, when you're making sure you have enough people to cover your schedule. Having the right amount of members on your team, on staff, virtually ensures that there's not overtime. Even when people go on vacation, even when they ask for time off, even when you have turnover. It's really important. And what it is this process of making sure that you know what your scheduling needs are, and it's having 2 FTEs, full-time equivalents, more than you think you need based on filling the schedule, so that when people take time off, when people leave, they fill in the gaps. Because there's always someone asking for time off. Number 2, implement and train scheduling practices that eliminate, new managers from making the scheduling mistakes that cost you money over and over and over again. Think about every time you train a brand new manager, if you don't give them the training they absolutely need, they make the same dumbass mistakes the manager made before them, and every time a mistake is made, it costs you money, whether pissed off guests and lost opportunity at the register or, increased cost. Because it's inefficiency or mistakes are made. So it's really important you have your system, your process, your way, and you teach it. Number 3, add cross-training to your training systems. It's important and imperative to have a training system in the first place, not just follow that guy. But the reality is when you can get, say servers to cross-train to be hosts, and you got busters to cross-train to be dishwashers, and you got barbacks cross-trained to be bartenders, all of a sudden, you get the picture? When you have a need, you've got the trained backup and replacement ready to go. That way, when you're caught with less people than you need on a schedule, by cross-training, we become more efficient. Another way to use cross-training would be in the kitchen, where you may start somebody as a fry cook as entry level, but when they certify, they get to learn the next station, whether it's sandwiches and salads. And when they certify there, they might get a 25-cent raise. And they go to the next station and a 25-cent raise, and the next station and a 25-cent raise, whatever it may be. And the truth of the matter is, all of a sudden, when they're trained on 4, 5, 6 positions, when you have a slower day, you can get by with 1, 2, 3 cooks instead of 6 because they can handle it. Number 4, implement and maintain an operating budget. This is so important. If you follow me any length of time, you know that I say the 2 most important systems any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe costing cards. Why? Because they're proactive systems. A budget creates your plan for success. The key number you must know in your budget to really control and know where your labor cost should be is prime cost, which is total cost of goods sold plus total labor costs, including taxes, benefits, and insurance. Generally speaking, I teach that if you run sales under $850,000 a year or more in sales, we're looking at a 60% prime cost. Anything over $850,000 a year in sales, I'm shooting for a 55% prime cost or lower. That means I could run it any way I need to based on my location, my core values, the quality of product, my price point, all these type of service. So I could run say a 30% labor cost, which means I'd have a 25% overall cost of goods sold. I could run a 30% overall cost of goods sold, which will only give me 25% for my labor cost. See, with a budget, you're going to know where your labor numbers should be in order for you to be profitable and to control to. Number 5, you've got to implement, train, and hold managers accountable to that labor budget. See, with that budget, you're going to find that your labor cost target will be different every single month based on your seasonality. In the off season, because your managers are maybe a salaried management team sucking up all the profits, you're going to need more money to cover minimum staffing, which means you might run a 38% labor cost on purpose. But in season, when you're doing $300,000 in sales and your management team don't get paid any more because they're salaried, and you reach maximum efficiencies, I couldn't add another cook, server, or anybody on the floor. My labor cost as a percentage becomes really small. Maybe we're running 19%. But overall in the budget for the year, maybe our target was 25%. But with that 38 and 19 and all the different months, you know what to budget to hit your ideal cost or labor cost for the year. So I can tell you this, a system I teach my members is called the Restaurant Payroll Guardian that ensures you schedule on budget each and every week. Number 6, understand your numbers and how to calculate your labor efficiencies. This is critical to make sure, well, you set up your stations properly, you've got training, your prep and systems in place, your menu is there, and you know what to reduce in order to hit your labor targets. Oh, by the way, all staying true to your core values. What it means is, while we want to deliver the best experience to our guests, we do have to run profitably. And when I have my budget and I've got my labor targets, it allows me to say, hey, if I need to reduce my labor cost, how do I do it? Often it can be, again, resetting up the line to become, instead of taking 3 steps to the right, I'm just turning. Because you can literally put in miles. It could be reducing the menu to reduce prep. It could be reducing the menu to increase repetition, that people on the line make things faster, better, more consistent. You can do this when you are looking at where to take your labor costs, but can't do it without a budget. And finally, number 7, start tracking labor like a pro. Don't just track labor costs by day. You've got to keep that running total. So Monday, what's my labor cost? Use divided by sales, labor dollars, sales. Tuesday, labor dollars, sales, and then a running total for the 2. That's important. But I'm going to tell you one thing most people don't do. Look at your originally scheduled hours and forecasted sales. Then at the end of the day, look at where your sales actually hit, were they higher or lower, and what were your actual hours worked? Did they go up or down? This can tell you when a manager is falling asleep at the wheel. And oh, by the way, when I track labor, not only by percentage, but by hours, and I track and I see that Tuesday, 2 days into the week, I've already blown my labor budget, I've got 5 more days I can make tiny little changes to get back on budget without giving up guest satisfaction or cutting on service levels. This gives you the ability to have a coaching opportunity with your management team to make sure they can be on budget by the end of the weekend. If you want to learn more about my coaching programs and how I can give you all these systems and more, go to davidscottpeters.com, click on the link in the upper right-hand corner that says watch my free video series, and opt in today. Be sure to join me live every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, travel schedule permitting, where I'll get you pumped about the upcoming weekend, get you excited about crushing your goals and finding the motivation to be best you possible. Plus, I'll answer your burning questions live.